Greetings, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I have drifted into the Underworld. The Star Wars Underworld. I have a bad feeling about this.
Here we go. We must go to the lower levels. The Underworld.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
You're after something.
Ben.
Since I've started the Underworld, I've met so many great friends.
Chris.
I grew up in the 1990s, and Maul packaging is nostalgic for me.
Dominic.
What I love most about Star Wars is that it's fun and it's all-around good times.
So, this is where the fun begins.
May the Force be with us.
This thing really moves!
Whoa! I like this!
I can't believe you came all this way to see me.
Why am I not in the intro? I gotta come up with a snappy line.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Underworld podcast, your weekly source for all the latest breaking Star Wars news, reviews, and discussion. And this week, we've got a double whammy because not only are we talking about the new trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu that literally dropped 2 hours ago as of time of recording, we're also talking about episodes 3 and 4 of Maul Shadow Lord. And if that wasn't enough, we may even try to answer some questions from our Discord community in our favorite Ask the SWU segment, although no promises there. There is a lot of fun stuff to get to. So we're going to have a great show. Let's get into it. First, though, introductions are in order in case you're new to the show or you've forgotten who we are. That can happen. My name is Dominic Jones, and with me, as always, he's the founder of the Star Wars Underworld. It's Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
How's it going, everybody? It's good to be back, and it's really good to be talking about everything that's going on.
I hate to interrupt you,
right
Ben
now,
Hart, the Star Wars guy.
What's coming up from What Did I Do?
Hart, the Star Wars guy.
Star Wars rules.
This is momentous. This is exciting. Why, hello there, Ben.
Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
He is the founder of the Star Wars Underworld, Mr. Ben Hart.
How's it going, everybody?
We could probably fix that in the edit to just make it seem like we were just playing the song to introduce him. But Ben is already dealing with the Minox chewing on the power cables.
This one goes there. That one goes there. Right?
I have a bad Chewie
good help
impression.
these
I can't
days.
do it.
Ben, good to have you with us.
So as I was saying, it's really good to be here, and I'm very excited to talk about the trailer. It's still not working, is it? Still not working, is it?
It's better. It's better than it was.
Not really.
I'm just going to continue on as if it is working. And I'm going to say that I'm really excited about the new trailer that just dropped. It's so great. Obviously, I'm talking about Spaceballs, the new one. We got a Spaceballs trailer, and it's finally here. It's obviously the trailer that everyone is talking about. And I'm so excited. They could have just called it Spaceballs: The Search for More Money, but they didn't. That's a choice. I don't know. But the new one, can't wait. The return of Rick Moranis to the theaters. Let's go. It's the only thing we're excited about in this podcast.
I missed the fact that the Spaceballs trailer had come out. I saw a social video of the cast getting out of an elevator in a funny way, and I thought, wow, that's really fun. That's going to be the best Spaceballs thing I see tonight. Lo and behold, apparently there's a trailer. I'm going to watch that later because we got a lot to get into. Also joining us to help break down the Mando Grogu trailer, longtime friend of the show. Welcome back, Jeff White.
Oh, man. And also the SWU just celebrated Sweet 16, as you said last week. And Star Wars Celebration LA tickets are I think they're about to be available. They made that announcement this morning. So Lucasfilm today is like, oh my gosh, we're gonna give a bone to SWU. We're gonna reveal all this stuff right before their podcast. And it's not like they had any other plans going on. We're just gonna go all this news. All of a sudden. Happy to be here, Dom. Haven't been here in a while, but great to be here again. Good to hear from y'all. And Ben's internet's going to get better. I believe it will.
I believe it. I believe it. Chris points this out often that Ben's internet is always great before the show. And it lulls us into a false sense of security where we're like, this is going to go great. It's going to have no problems. And as soon as it starts, things go crazy, things go sideways. But yeah, Lucasfilm really piling on the announcements today, starting with the Star Wars Celebration news, followed by the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer, which debuted at CinemaCon as part of a larger presentation that involved screening something like 18 minutes of the movie, 18 minutes of the movie, which is crazy. There are people in the world that have seen basically the opening sequence of a new Star Wars movie. All of you who are at CinemaCon, or anybody who I think was at the creators events that were held in the last couple of weeks who saw this, boy, very jealous, but also just very excited for you as Star Wars fans that you got to experience that, because that's pretty cool. We'll get into all of that in just a moment. We're going to break down the new trailer, all that. First, we're going to remind you, as always, to subscribe to the Star Wars Underworld. You can do so on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to watch or listen to your shows. And if you are listening or watching on a platform that lets you leave a review, please do so. During the show, you can super chat with us if you want to guarantee your question gets asked during Ask the SWU. And you can also become a channel member if you're listening to this after the fact and still want to support us, help us keep the lights on over here. In between shows, join the Discord to keep the conversation going and have lots of fun and do things like game nights and movie nights and rewatching the Mandoverse and all of that stuff. And of course, follow us on social media at the SWU. All right, let's get into it. We're going to talk first about the new trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu. And Jeff, partially because you're the guest and partially because I still don't trust Ben's internet, I'm going to throw it to you first. What did you think of the new trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu?
It's funny, Dom, because it literally came out right when work was ending for me today. So It was like at the end of the day. I've only seen it once, and it was very action filled, action packed. A lot of scene. They had that scene with Zeb in it, and I was like fist pumping while I was at work. It was great, man. But it's so interesting. Like, they don't need to convince us Star Wars fans. We're gonna see it. We're gonna love it. We're gonna buy the tickets tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Pacific time. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's the other thing. That's the other thing. When I was running through all the things that got announced today, the tickets for the movie go on sale tomorrow. Thanks for the warning, guys. Thanks for the heads up. Really, you might as well have just gone, actually, they're on sale now. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern.
I think you're in Eastern time, Dom. Like you have an advantage. I'm in Pacific
marginal,
time.
Yeah.
Like,
hey, look, I don't have to look. You guys don't have to stay up till 3 a.m. to watch Maul when it drops, if that's what you want to do. So this is the trade-off here. I got a slightly easier time buying the tickets, but that also means more people will be up and trying to buy tickets at 9 a.m.
It's so interesting because I was telling Ben this right before the show. I was just like, it's insane that they're doing 6 a.m. Pacific time. Like, yeah, we should release, do it right now. Like, they've done it before with like Super Bowl previews or with, I know, Dom, you've gone on tirades on your Substack and on this very podcast about the marketing campaign surrounding Mando and Grogu and trying to understand what it's about. I will say that this has felt largely towards, it's weird to say, but the casuals, the Star Wars fans who are not as engaged every week or every day like we are with the latest breaking Star Wars news. This trailer was meant for them. And a lot of these trailers have been meant for them as well. And I forgot about the poster. Thank you for posting that. This beautiful poster. If you're listening on Spotify, we're showing a beautiful poster showing Grogu in meditation. Pardon my ignorance, Dom. Do we know what planet that is on?
I don't think we do as of yet. Maybe it's Nal Hutta, maybe it's somewhere else. Maybe it's Dagobah. Who knows? Who knows? But we don't yet have that answer. But yeah, no, Jeff, I think you're right. Like, that's the thing. I'm very curious to see what the response to this movie is and how aware people are of it, because the marketing really can be summed up as Baby Yoda the movie.
Yeah.
Which is why this trail with this poster is, I think, so appropriate, because it says at the bottom the Mandalorian and Grogu, but the Mandalorian is nowhere to be found. This might as well say Grogu, a Star Wars story, along the lines of Solo, a Star Wars story. Actually, this poster looks like it says the Star Wars Mandalorian and Grogu, not to be confused with the Star Trek Mandalorian and Grogu. Yeah, it looks good, but that's what this marketing campaign is about, and it will be interesting to see the power that Grogu still holds. I'm very curious to see that, because they have gone all in on it, and there's been nods at other at the tone, at the story, but I feel like that's something that's really been shied away from. They haven't really stretched outside of these two main characters. We get a lot of Sigourney Weaver. We get quick shots of Zeb, quick shots of the Anzellans, which is cool. But there is not, you think about, the sequel trilogy trailers, which, yes, those were more of an ensemble cast. But
with legacy characters,
you would get a little taste of Rey, you get a little taste of Finn, a little taste of Poe, a little taste of Han, a little taste of Luke. Like, it would take you through the whole cast, everybody who was involved in those movies. This one's, they don't take you that far out of the titular duo and Sigourney Weaver, which is interesting. I'm interested to see how people respond to it, because, like you said, we're sold, we're there. Like, they told us that we have to buy tickets tomorrow, and we're all going to buy tickets tomorrow. That's fine.
Take the money, Lucasfilm.
Yeah, we don't have to do that. They don't have to convince us, but I do wonder if they are perhaps missing out a little bit on some added levels of excitement, some added levels of hype, if they were hinting a little bit more at what else was going on beyond, you love these two, well, yeah, get ready to love them on the big screen.
It kind of felt like, I think you have a great point there, Dom. I think this trailer it wasn't really meant to be evocative. Like, we had that full trailer a month or two ago that, I remember, where it showed Pedro Pascal with his helmet off, and we were like, ooh, ah.
Mm-hmm.
And this trailer today was more like less of that and more of some, hey, tickets are available tomorrow. Like, that really felt like its purpose from a cynical perspective.
Yeah,
but it's interesting. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, but let's get Ben's take on this, because we haven't heard from him as of yet. What did you think of this Ben?
Yeah, I hope is this thing on? Is this thing working?
I think so.
Working? Can you hear me?
I think so.
Okay,
I think so.
Right. I'm glad. My thoughts on the trailer is just like, it's weirdly more emotional than the previous trailers. Like, they put in all the music and the feels, and there's a lot of great dialogue, whatever else. This feels like because I think we all kind of collectively wrote off this movie as like, oh, it's gonna be a fun goofy romp. Like, Mandalorian is kind of a goofy show. It's got a lot of goofy stuff in it. It's kind of got a lot of humor. It's fun, adventure, pulpy, whatever else, all those words. And I think we forget that, Mandalorian, the show really has some strong emotions. Like, it made me cry several times. I don't know about you. So, it is like, it's this deep emotion, that the connection between these two characters that is very potent. And I think, being at things as they are, I think we are underestimating this movie and how much it might make us cry, how much it may tug at our heartstrings. We're just expecting a fun romp of a movie, and it may actually end up being something that's much deeper, much more methodical, much more introspective, much more emotional. And I think this trailer kind of, explores another aspect of the movie. Not to say that it won't be goofy, funny, action, adventure, comedy, whatever else, but I think it's going to run the gamut of all those things, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that is the kind of the place to start with this trailer, is with those opening moments of Din and Grogu talking to each other, or talking about each other, or sorry, That's at the end of the trailer. The trailer begins with Sigourney Weaver talking about them. There we go. I've only had this trailer for 2 hours, guys. Come on. It begins with Sigourney Weaver talking about it and talking about them in very like mythical, in a very mythical way, right?
Yeah.
You know, The Mandalorian as a show is meant to be a little bit more sort of, or at the very least, it starts this way as the smaller scale Star Wars. You're really focused in on these two characters, and as it's gone on, it's grown out and grown out and grown out. And what we're realizing is, and you go through this with every character, is the characters start as, you know, just a bounty hunter and just a scared lost child, and they grow into being legends. And here we are, coming up on 7 years after the show premiered, talking about those characters like legends, like not legends as in the books, legends as in the sort of characters that everybody knows and everybody understands. And that's who, that's where these characters are now. So they occupy a different space in the universe and in the audience's mind than they did before. And that does mean they have to grow. They can't stay, it can't remain in stasis forever. And that's something I'm going to be very interested to see from the movie. And that's where what I was getting to with talking about the end of the trailer, with Din talking about, you know, the old protect the young and then the young protect the old. You know, that is their relationship is going to have to change. If we go back to the other trailer, Mando talks about how they, or how, you know, Grogu's going to live on well past him. You know, Grogu will be there for the rest of Din's life, but Din won't be there for the rest of Grogu's life. Grogu's life's going to go on for another several hundred years after that. So it's almost as if they're preparing us for, you know, this might be not necessarily a character that's going to die, but like this might be a transition into a new part of their relationship where Din isn't just Grogu's protector. There's more to it than that. It's more balanced. It's more equal. And I think that's good. The show was always at its best was when it was focused on those two characters, when it had those two characters at its heart, at its core. And when it strayed from that at points in season 3, that's when I think it started to waver a little bit, started to get a little shaky. And I think it's very smart to refocus the story on them and to evolve their relationship in a way that maintains what came before, maintains the emotional connection between them and between us and them, but also create something new and different that we haven't really seen before in Star Wars. And I'm very excited to see how that actually plays out in the movie. Jeff, let me get your take on these two and their dynamic and the way it's changed and the way the trailer hints at what's to come.
It's funny, Dom, because it hit me recently that it had been 3 years, in not 3 BBY or ABY, but 3 real life years since we've seen new Mando and Grogu content. Yeah, we've had Ahsoka. Yeah, we had Skeleton Crew, and you know, a whole bunch of other Star Wars content. But it's like what Joel said in one of the chats that like, you know, as as diehard Star Wars fans, I don't think we're ready for the tonal shift from like how dark Mandor's season 2 obviously and, you know, Maul Shadow Lord has been to, you know, where Mando is, but also, as you were saying, how emotional this trailer was, and that, dare I say, none of us want to admit it, but this could be either the finale or going to like the precursor to the finale of the Mandoverse. I think it's fascinating. The trailer really evokes that. Like, it's not very often in the Mandoverse you hear the I think it was the Force theme that was played at the beginning of the trailer.
Yeah.
That Ludwig Göransson, and you know, he doesn't bring out the main Star Wars tunes that John Williams usually does, except for very rare circumstances. Obviously, like when Luke came out in season 2, all the Luke scenes in Book of Boba Fett, etc. But yeah, the trailer felt like a more emotional yet understanding, like extension, of the last trailer we had. Like, it had some scenes from it, like with Rada, with Pedro Pascal with his helmet off, which I still love, by the way. I'm still like, oh my gosh, we're getting that. That is amazing. That is hype. And also just, it's kind of hitting you that, like, yeah, this is finally coming out. Here it is. First Star Wars film in, what, 6.5 years, I think?
Mm-hmm.
So it's all of those things. And, you know, it's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Ben, what are you thinking?
Yeah, no, I think I like what you were kind of touching on earlier in regards to how, like, they're finding ways to utilize Grogu more. I think make him more of a co-star. Because I mean, you pointed out, I think, you know, season 3 kind of struggled with a little bit. I think going back to seasons 1 and 2, there are instances where I think the writers and the filmmakers didn't know what to do with Grogu. You know, I've made the point before. I'm just like, I think R2 and 3PO have a brilliant part to play in A New Hope. They are so ingrained in the plot. They are so part of that movie, and so part of, you know, the movie doesn't work without them. And in every movie since, they have struggled to figure out what to do with R2 and 3PO things. Like, they're in rare circumstances, like Rise of Skywalker nailed 3PO. You know, there's been other instances, but like for the most part, they still struggle. I think with Grogu, he's a character that's like, what do you do with him? And I think you watch like the one episode before The Mandalorian Grogu that Jon Favreau himself, you know, directed was The Marshal. And for most of that episode, it's just Grogu just there. He's just sitting around and he's just reacting. He's not doing anything. He's in the spittoon over there. He's hiding in it. Like, he's cute. He's there, things, but like, he's not doing anything. Yeah. And I think Jon Favreau has hinted at the idea of just like, yeah, it's called The Mandalorian Grogu for a reason. And it's because Grogu is has more of a part to play. And I think that's treating him more as a character and not as a cute baby is a good way to do it.
Yeah. Like, I've been doing my Mandoverse rewatch to get ready for this. I've made it through all of The Mandalorian. I'm into Ahsoka now. Someday we can do a discussion about rewatching Ahsoka and how I feel about that show. But that's a topic for another day. But I was thinking about this with season 3 of Mando. There's one episode of that show, of that season, that really sticks out kind of apart from the rest. And that is, of course, the Jack Black, Lizzo, and Christopher Lloyd guest star episode. And the reason it sticks out is not because it's good or bad relative to the rest of the season. It's because it feels like a totally different show. Because it's this almost like procedural episode. It almost becomes like a procedural, like, cop show with, you know, Din Djarin and Bo-Katan as the co-leads, the detectives that have to work together to solve the crime. And they literally just like drop Grogu off for that entire episode. They give him to Lizzo, and Lizzo and Jack Black babysit Grogu for that entire episode while we have this whole other adventure. Because, like you're saying, Ben, sometimes, you know, it's either Grogu's either the focus of the story, or he's off to the side, or in some cases left out entirely because he is a baby. And I think what we've seen throughout all the trailers, but is made explicit in this one, is that Din and Grogu are going to spend a lot of the movie apart, or a good portion of the movie apart, because we see it in this trailer, in this sequence of him telling Grogu, you gotta go with the Anzellans. I'll be right behind you, but you gotta go. And then there's that other shot from the other trailers of Grogu in the Anzellan ship, and he's speeding, and he's got the wind flapping in his ears and all that stuff. And you know, it's a very tropey thing, but, you know, you go, I'll be right behind you. They're never right behind them. That never happens. Something goes horribly wrong. You get captured. You know, things lead to bad things. And Din in that sequence is fighting battle droids, We see the battle droids all around the huts. We see the huts have captured Din, and they rip his helmet off. The pieces are all there. You can put together how this section of story is going to go. So, the young is now. We've seen 3 seasons of the old protecting the young. Now it's time for the young to protect the old, and it's going to be really interesting to see how that comes together. Jeff, what do you expect to see from Grogu in this movie? Or I mean, not expect, maybe the wrong word. Hope to see from Grogu in the movie.
This is going to sound so goofy to say as a Star Wars fan. I hope he for no rhyme or reason just turns on a lightsaber. Or like it's like trying to fiddle around with it. I don't know what context they would put for that, but just some gimmick like that to get him in, or just something, even if it's like Grogu using like one of Mando's blasters. I know he's kind of done that before in other capacities, like has been we'll say a combatant, whenever Din is in trouble. But it's honestly, wouldn't it be cool if like Grogu was on top of one of the battle droids and took control of the battle droid? Because I will tell you, as somebody who just beat Star Wars Outlaws and has played Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor, they've been using a lot of old battle droids to the max, after Order 66. So it's just so fascinating seeing that the battle droids getting love. And I want more of that. But yeah, a lot of opportunities for Grogu to shine. I'm hyped. I want to see this movie. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's something else. I had this thought while watching the trailer for the first time. By the way, I want to say this is not I didn't succeed in anything. I just thought this was really funny and speaks to, how invested in Star Wars I am. Not that I need to prove that, but I saw this trailer literally the second it was uploaded. I opened up YouTube and there was the thumbnail and it said updated less than a minute ago, or uploaded less than a minute ago, and the number of views was 42. I hadn't even reached triple digits yet. So that's my thing here. But so I watched the trailer. I'm watching the trailer for the first time, and we're seeing all this. We're talking about all this emotional stuff. The young protect the old protect the young. I was thinking about Din talking in the other trailer about Grogu, living on past him, and I thought, what are the chances? What are the odds, Han Solo, that Din Djarin does not make it out of this movie alive?
Ooh.
Ben.
Oh,
am I crazy? Tell me I'm crazy.
How dare you? How dare you? How dare you even think? How dare you even put that out there? That it could happen. And now I'm thinking about it and I'm realizing it's a real possibility. How dare you? I mean, no, I don't think we're going to have the tragedy of Din Djarin in The Mandalorian Grogu. I don't think so. But also, I always come back to this, and I will continue to come back to this. None of us thought Luke freaking Skywalker was going to be at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian. Not a single person. If you say, "Oh, I knew Luke was going to be there," you're a liar. You're a big fat liar. Nobody expected that. So I think it's safe to say, the gloves are off. Favreau, in his own weird way, is a bit crazy. He's crazy like that. He could do something crazy, and if that's where they want to go with it, I don't know. I don't know how you continue the story without, would it be the Grogu Chronicles after this? I don't know. But I mean, it's possible. I'm not going in expecting it. But I'll probably cry if it does.
Jeff?
Yeah, regarding Ben, I'll provide a counterpoint to your, of course, Din's going to stay alive point, that viewers of The Last of Us beg to differ, Ben. Because Pedro Pascal's character, who was the main protagonist, it's a 6-year spoiler if you played the games like I have. But, let's just say something like that very much happens in season 2 of The Last of Us. So Pedro Pascal is not a stranger to such a scenario happening. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say he's had his time. He's had we've had a lot of content from Pedro, especially as Star Wars fans. We've been eating it up over the years. And I think it would be very I love how I of all people am the devil's advocate, but like I think it would be very fitting for Din to to move along. Move along, as a stormtrooper said. I think that'd be a fascinating way to go about it and see what happens. I mean, why else do we not know very much about Ahsoka season 2 other than the occasional like reports from the set? Like, why haven't we had a trailer for that? Why do we?
That's still far away. That's still far away.
Is it still 2026 though, or has it been officially delayed?
No, but like they don't do the trailers for the shows until like 2 months out. Like it's not going to be till the end of the year. Here like I'm thinking about this, and I do feel like there is a very compelling case to be made that this could be it for Din Djarin. He had a 3 episode or a 3-season arc through the show. He completed that arc. He learned what it means to be a Mandalorian, all of that stuff. Like that story is done. He has now he's almost in like that Han Solo and Force Awakens kind of role where he's gone back to what he was at the beginning of the story. Now, in Han's case, it's very tragic. Like he's like reverted back to who he used to be because he doesn't know what else to do. In Din's case, it would be that he has gone back to it because he doesn't have anything else to do. Like he completed this mission. He's found something to give him some purpose now that he has, completed the main arc of his story. The other thing here is that Pedro Pascal is a huge star.
Right.
He's got other things he wants to do. He's very rarely actually in the suit anymore. That's Brendan Wayne and Lateef Crowder did most of season 3. And they did a fine job. They may just think, okay, we're done with this character, and we're gonna give him a fitting send off, and then maybe the movie ends with Grogu showing up at Luke's academy again, going, "Hey, buddy, can I come back, please?"
It ties in with Jeff wanting a lightsaber. That's how
there you go. Now, counterpoint.
I see what you did there, Dom.
That would be a really dark and depressing way to bring Star Wars back to theaters.
That's what I'm thinking.
They've done before. Qui-Gon Jinn and Han Solo are on line 1. It's not completely unheard of to kill off a character, a beloved character in Han Solo's case. From previous, Qui-Gon has become beloved, but from previous, and do that'd be very dark. I think Din makes it out of this movie only to die in the Filoni movie as a fitting send off. But it's also possible that the Filoni movie, if that is a real thing that happens, he's gonna have Ahsoka at the center of that. He's gonna have Sabine at the center of that. He could have Bo-Katan at the center of that. It's just sounding like a Clone Wars movie now. And just put Grogu in there and get Jod Nanawood in there as well. And there you go. There's like a Jedi adventure with Ezra as well. There's the whole thing. So I think that's I would love to see a world where Din Djarin gets to retire and go back and live on that farm where they catch the fish from the episode in season 1 where you had the chemistry with the widow, whose name I can't remember. But I'd love for that. But this is Star Wars. He's probably gonna die. He's probably gonna die, if not in this movie, then in the Dave Filoni movie.
And he just lives a life like Cobb Vanth does, where he's just like chilling in that back the tank in Boba Fett's palace.
Yeah, when's Cobb Vanth coming back?
When's Boba gonna come back? Tamara Morrison says some stuff. It's like, I want to come back.
What? I mean, or it could be that this movie does end on a dark tone, and you have the death of Din Djarin, and then this movie makes 2 billion. And Disney is like, nope, and Disney is like, nope, bring him back. Let's the Mandalorian and Grogu, the search for Din Djarin is the next one. So
There
we
you go.
can keep the franchise going.
Bob Iger would come back from out of retirement and be like, no, I don't understand how he could be alive. Cancel the movie. Cancel it.
Alan Bergman's still there. He'd be like, no,
It's never happened before.
Yeah, and then
Bob Iger's like, somehow I've returned, but I must prevent any other characters from coming back from the dead.
Yeah, and this is also a case where Pedro Pascal himself brings the idea up and says to John, "Hey, here's an idea," just like what Adam Driver did with Soderbergh.
They're like, you know what? And they're like, you know what? We got Marty Scorsese to do a voice in this movie. Now we're gonna get him to direct the next one. And Bob Iger's just like, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think the money makes sense. No. Anyways, that's my impression of Bob Iger. Anyway,
spot on.
What else stands out about this trailer to you guys? What's something that leapt out at you that got you excited that you want to talk about?
Love that Zeb is flying. Heck yeah, let's go. I want to see more of Zeb after what he did in season 3. And, I know we saw him in a previous trailer as well, but to see him flying, having fun, it reminds me of that scene in Rise of Skywalker where Lando's flying the Falcon. He's just like laughing his tail off, having a good time, man, because that's what Star Wars is like when you're flying a ship. It's the coolest feeling in the world. And, and anybody who's been on the Falcon ride at Disneyland can attest to that, right? So I love that we have Zeb back, and it is confirmed. Is it the same fella who was Zeb in Rebels?
Yes, it's Steve Blum back doing the voice again.
Steve Blum, yeah.
Nice. Ben,
that's what stood out.
Nice. Ben, what you got?
Oh, I mean, I'm glad to see and hear more of Sigourney Weaver's Colonel Ward. If nothing else, I want confirmation that she's in more than 5 minutes of this movie, which is why I've been convinced that she actually is in. Like, I'm expecting, we do see her in the X-Wing pilot costume, which is the figure that that is out there, I think, right now. And by the way, check your local Walmarts and other stores because the Mando and Grogu figures are everywhere now. There's a freaking remote control AT-AT out there, which is kind of crazy.
You don't call it an AT-AT?
Sometimes, depends on my mood. There's also a remote control AT-RT, which is pretty cool. And spoilers, we see that the AT-RT gets crushed by the AT-AT in this trailer. So see how that goes. But I want her to have a significant role. I don't want her to just be like a glorified cameo. I want her to have things because the voiceover she gives is very good, and I think she's a very she's one of the best actors out there. She's great. She's been in freaking everything, and I want her to have a sizable a solid role in a Star Wars movie that's more than a few lines.
Yeah, I hope so too, and I think we're likely headed that way. For me, I'll be honest, there's other than what we've already talked about, there's not a lot that stands out to me in this trailer.
There's a lot of reused footage,
and it feels or like it's a lot of offcuts from the previous trailer. Like it's just other just more clips from the same scenes. And so I'll be honest, as a trailer, I don't actually like this one very much. It's if the teaser trailer, the original teaser trailer was if you give it a D and you give the second trailer an A-, I give this sort of a C+. It does its job well, but it doesn't wow you in the way that I thought the other one did. But it's a solid trailer, and I will say the shot of the X-Wings and the Y-Wings and the U-Wings in the green clouds. Oh, that was good. Oh, I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was good.
That I thought was really cool.
Also, Din and Grogu riding a stap. It's just the right amount of awesomeness and also ridiculousness, and just the pulls that Favreau is pulling, just this thing. Let's just grab a stat from the prequels. Let's have him ride that because that's cool.
Yeah. There's like I mentioned, there were some like been some creator events and that sort of thing that have taken place that have brought people into where they shot some of Mandalorian and Grogu. I watched Adam Savage did like a 25-minute walkthrough of some stuff with Jon Favreau. They have just so many of these props, and the number of battle droid props that they have, I'm like, ooh, that's good. That's good stuff. I like seeing that.
And then, love that they showed the Anzelians in the trailer as well. Or as my mom likes to call them, the Babu Frick people. My mom loves Babu Frick. So I sent her the trailer this afternoon. She was like, oh, it's Babu Frick. It's not Babu, but you know, it's love seeing the Anzelians again. And man, maybe someday we'll get Babu Frick. Maybe we'll get him in this movie. That would be cool, wouldn't it?
Maybe one of those guys is like Babu Frick Sr. He's like Babu Frick's his pop.
Entirely possible.
Like there were rumors that like Babu Frick was supposed to be in Star Wars Outlaws, which take place between episode 5 and 6, and he was cut content from the game. So I think it's very possible to have Babu Frick in there in Mando.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? You got all his buddies. Why not put him in there as well? Yeah. Good stuff from the trailer. As we mentioned before, tickets on sale tomorrow morning as we're recording this. So by the time you're listening to this, you probably already have your tickets. You probably already have your tickets, or you're making plans to buy them.
Real quick, did we have a chance to talk about the opening of the movie? Because there has 18 minutes of footage out there. I don't want to get. Yeah.
I'm going to say, I've heard that it's out there. We mentioned that it's out there. I don't think we should touch on it here. You know, maybe we could do a spoiler segment later on. But I think right here in the middle of the show with a whole Maul Shadow Lord conversation.
I don't really at this point in the game. I don't even want to read about like the sequence so that I know they saw the beginning of the movie.
I do.
I don't. I'm more particular in how the movie opens and how there's details on that. I don't know if anybody wants to hear about that, or if we're trying to stay spoiler free here.
Answer me this.
I don't mind.
Yes.
I don't mind a little intro. Just a little.
All right.
Does it begin with a title card that says 8 ABY?
I can confirm without a shadow of a doubt that it does say that. It happens right after a 10-minute helmet sequence where he goes through all the helmets in every Star Wars movie. And it's great. Everyone loved it.
That same crappy music playing
Dom,
over.
You're the biggest helmet hater I have ever seen and heard.
Oh, it's so
with
bad.
This.
It's so bad.
That and
it's
the
lazy.
3 BBY that Andor did. I've never seen somebody so passionately dislike those two things than you, Dominic Jones.
Oh, they don't give me much to dislike these days, so I gotta pick and choose. The helmets. You know, I won't go into it. It's just lazy. It's lazy and uninspired. And I could deal with the helmets if the music wasn't so bad. The music is what really irritates me. It's not Star Wars music. That's the problem with it. Anyways, okay, Ben, let me put it this way.
Yes.
You know what I'm thinking.
I don't have the ability to read minds, but you know.
Yes or no?
Yeah. What?
Yes or no?
Yes or no what?
Yes or no? What I'm thinking. Yes or no?
Kinda yes.
Did Dom just do a Jedi mind trick on Ben?
So kinda yes is not yes.
It's not all the way. It's not a yes. It's not a full yes. It's a partial yes.
I am disappointed.
We're gonna have to talk after the show on what the hell you actually mean, because I'm not sure.
Does this help?
I love this is great listening with us just like trying to I'm in your mind.
This is a conversation, Ben, we've had on and off for 10 years now. Going back to Rogue One. This is a conversation we've had.
I know the conversation.
Star Wars
I'm saying
movies
it's a kind of yes.
open. Okay, but a kind of yes isn't a kind of is a no, because
it's a kind of yes, and there's something else.
But Ahsoka has a kind of yes, but that's a no. Solo has a kind of yes, but it's a no. It's a binary.
It's between a Solo and an Ahsoka. It's between an Ahsoka.
But that's still not a yes.
Well, I can't help you, buddy. I can't help you. All right. I just don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. Okay.
See, I just miss the days when every single Star Wars media, video games, TV shows, whatnot, was a yes. Exactly. Talking about what I think you're talking about. I miss those days because you have the YouTube compilations of all the yeses, and it's a lot of them.
But if we're gonna keep this under wraps, all I'm gonna add to this conversation is that if I'm hearing this correctly, from what I've read from tweets and stuff like that, the Mandalorian and Grogu is going to do something at the front of the movie, at the beginning of the movie, that has never been done before in the history of Star Wars films. Never been done before.
God, you're giving the marketing team good ideas, Ben.
What? Okay, you know what? I'm not even going to try and guess.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to spoil it. Okay, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm just going to let you sit with that one for
Is it going to be a previously on? Is it going to have a previously on? Previously on The Mandalorian.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
So like and then they do the helmets right after it. Dom's favorite thing ever.
This is great listening, by the way. People
that's how they do the previously on. That's how they do the previously on. It's just a series of helmets.
Vague. Like we're basically just saying everything, but being vague enough that it's annoying. And I'm surprised people are still watching or listening to this.
I think everybody knows what we're talking about. And that's what makes it funnier that I'm not going to say what it is that we're talking about.
I know chat's getting annoyed. Like, come on, say the thing. Like, no, it's a yes.
Ridiculous.
I'm gonna drag the show down so that it's so slow it's basically a crawl, and not tell you what we're actually talking about.
See what you did
there? You'll find out. You'll find out in a month. All will be revealed.
There we go. All right.
May 22nd.
On May 22nd, coming soon to a theater near you.
Buy your tickets tomorrow at 6 a.m. Pacific time. Oh my gosh.
Or just like break into the theater. One or the other.
Oh man.
Oh my goodness. All right. Let's I think that's where we will leave things for our Mandalorian and Grogu discussion, because we should move on to talk about Maul Shadow Lord, because there's a lot to get into with those two episodes. Unfortunately, Jeff, this is where we say goodbye to you. Thank you for being on. Thank you for joining us for this conversation. You know, Jeff, I think back to the sequel era and all of those movies that we watched together, all of those podcasts that we did together, and it just feels right to talk about this trailer with you, pal. So thanks for being here. Do you want to plug anything before you get out of here?
I'm on Blue Sky. You can kind of see it on the corner here, jif52.bsky.social. Follow me there. I repost some Star Wars stuff, mostly stuff that Ben posts on SWU. Ben and Joel post on SWU. I'll be going to, not that this is a big deal to anybody outside of us, but I'm going to Rebel Scum Con this August. I will be seeing Ben and some other folks there. I think they just announced, was it Vanessa Marshall? Was that the big recent guest announcement that they had? Yeah. So,
and right before that, John Boyega also. Yep. Just, crazy.
But yeah, very excited about
if you have a chance to hear John speak, it's always worth it. He does not hold back.
I'm so hyped for that, and I appreciate having the opportunity. I'm sorry I got to leave soon, but hope you all have a great rest of the podcast. I'll be lurking.
All right. Thanks so much,
man.
Thanks so much, Jeff. All right, Ben.
All right.
We got a Star Wars show to talk about.
This is what we're supposed to talk about. This is the first thing we thanks. If Lucasfilm could get their shit together, we wouldn't have to cram all this stuff into one podcast.
I mean, this is the thing, right? Like, anybody who just clicked on this show just based on the thumbnail and nothing else, they are probably like, why haven't you talked about the thing you said you were going to talk about?
Yeah. And also shout out to Marty Ingleston, who does all of our beautiful thumbnails.
Yes.
Every
Shout
week.
out to Marty.
Usually speaking, I have to frantically on a Thursday morning when I'm trying to figure out what the show is going to be. I message Marty and say, "Hey, we're going to do this. Can you do things?" And he's like, lickety split, like instantly gives me back a thumbnail. Like he doesn't even like. It's like he just thinks it and it just comes out. I don't know how he does it, but this week, like on Wednesday morning, he sent me the thumbnail. It's like, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Just take the thumbnail and go with it. Thanks. And then this happens to say that everything is going on. So we're using your thumbnail, Marty. I promise.
Yes, we are using it because hey, it's great. And why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we use it? All right, let's get into Maul Shadow Lord. We've got 2 episodes to talk about. Of course, they are Chapter 3, Whispers in the Unknown, written by Julia Cooperman and Amanda Rose Munoz, and directed by Stuart Lee. And Chapter 4, Pride and Vengeance, written by Amanda Rose Munoz and directed by Nathaniel Villanueva, or Nate Villanueva, as he goes by now. Ben, let's dive right into it. Give us your overall impression of these 2 episodes. And when I say impression, I mean reenact the story for us.
Okay, so
doing voices and stuff.
So Maul is like, I'm angry and I want vengeance on everyone. And Devin's like, I'm gonna get out of here. And Maul's like, no, you can't. I'm gonna have tea with you forcefully and almost try to kill you. And then it goes from there.
Unfortunately, folks, that's all the time we have for today.
I can't keep that going. Okay, I'm sorry.
All right, give us your thoughts on the episode. What'd you think?
It's funny, I was telling some people today, we were talking in one of my group chats. I was talking with a good old Star Raptor and Zach Arnold and all those guys. And I was trying to articulate, okay, what are my actual feelings on Maul Shadow Lord? Because, like, logically speaking, I know this is some of the best animation we've ever seen, Lucasfilm Animation put out. I know some of the best writing. I know this is genuinely one of the best shows that we've seen so far. But as far as my emotional stakes in it, up until this episode, I wasn't sure how I felt about it, how I was like really invested in it. I think these episodes kind of really pulled me in more, especially that second episode. I think that was just like, not to jump too far ahead, but just like that, the last 10, 15 minutes of the fourth episode feels like the climax of a Star Wars film. Like it's got like multiple things happening at once. There's a firefight. There's people, there's battle going on. And there's a lightsaber duel that's, probably one of the best lightsaber duels we've ever seen in animation. And it's like, it's got everything. It's got emotion. It's got, a villain giving a huge speech and, Jedi and Sith debating philosophy and all this kind of stuff. It's great. It's just got everything. And then the previous episode is just like this methodical thing of, Devin and you see how she's being manipulated. You're like, no, don't do that. But then you're listening to Maul and being like, actually, he's making some good points. I'm sorry, he is kind of. But it's just like these episodes play really well together. This is one of the situations where I feel like, as much as I resent the whole idea of just like, let's put 2 episodes a week, because it's hard enough to like watch one episode and do all the research and stuff like that to do and get ready for Ben's Connection Corner to get ready for this podcast. It's hard enough for me, much less getting 2 episodes in. And I want to digest them as much as possible. I think these episodes play really well together. And I really liked how they play kind of as a mini movie in the middle of the season. And this is just saying, really, these were 2 momentous, epic episodes that were just episodes 3 and 4. It isn't a finale. It isn't even a mid-season finale. It's just 2 episodes, just 2 more episodes. And it feels like the stakes have never been higher. And all the way down to the last shot where we see the Star Destroyer come in. It's like, oh crap, this is, the music and everything was following whole cylinders. So like, it really upped the ante. And I think emotionally, I am more invested than I ever been in the show.
Yeah, I think we're seeing the influence of the Clone Wars here, because this is, like you said, this is episodes 3 and 4. Clone Wars used to do 4-episode arcs, right? Like Matt Michnovitz, who's the head writer on the show, and he developed it with Filoni. They began this, they started making the shows a long time ago. They go back to the Clone Wars days. And I think what we're seeing here is these 4 episodes really are one arc. It's split across 2 weeks. And if we were to truly Andor this and do like entire story arcs in a week, I think you're doing chapters 1 through 4. And ending with that stinger of the Star Destroyer, and then coming back the following week for whatever happens next, because it really, really flows very, very well together. And they managed to have like there's 2 lightsaber duels across these episodes, right? There's the one between Maul and Devin that sort of plays out over the course of the first episode of chapter 3. Yeah. And then there's the more traditional throwdown between Maul and Iko Diodaki, and
just go
and
Uncle
Devin.
Daki. Just go with Uncle Daki.
Yeah. His name's just so much fun to say. Iko Diodaki. He can't die because his name is too much fun to say.
The wording is like goes up and down, up and down, up and down. Like the syllables are just crazy.
I want to know who came up with that name. Is that Michinovitz? Is that Filoni? Brad Rao? Who came up with that?
Apparently I saw a video of Filoni basically saying like, "Oh, I think I had give him a hard time with their names, and I think they're bad." And he's like, "Oh no, maybe they're good. I don't know." So he was giving him a hard time about it.
Oh, I love that. But then let's dive in. We'll start with the Maul Devin sequences. This is a continuation of what we saw last week with Maul making the pitch to Devin of like, we should team up. You should join me. We know Maul's reason for this. He's having visions of an apprentice who will help him, take down Palpatine, claim his destiny. We're not quite sure what he plans on doing, what he thinks he's going to do, but he knows he has an apprentice who will help him go after Sidious. And so he has his motivations, but he has to make a compelling argument to Devin. And across these last couple of episodes, he's really trying to sell her on the idea of you gotta be willing to fight. You gotta be willing to do more than what your master is doing. Your master thinks he's going to get by on the kindness of strangers. Strangers don't really want to help, not in this day and age, not at this time, not under the Empire. So what are you gonna do? What did you make of his elaboration and extended pitch to Devin in this episode?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how Maul is kind of like he's kind of the Sith version of Luthen Rael, in the sense that he's really like, and at this point we're thinking this is like a year or so after Revenge of the Sith. Like, we know this is they're in it for the long haul. Like, and even the Jedi that are aware of the grand plan, that have a backup plan and have a way out of this, that see the light at the end of the tunnel, the new hope, if you will, are in hiding and are laying low and trying to things. And like Maul is kind of like to his own ends, but just like, no, you gotta fight. You gotta fight. And he's not wrong. That's the whole thing about this. He's not wrong about a lot of things he says, in that it's just like, it's the approach to it is obviously wrong. And it's a Sith way of doing this, ultimately, of basically goading her into bringing out her worst emotions and her worst feelings, and obviously and I love the moments where he says some stuff and it's all framed in the way of, okay, this is bad. And I love the philosophical debate in the second episode of Daki and Maul have the back and forth. Great scene. But in that scene, there is a moment where it focuses on Devin and her kind of looking down and going like, okay, listening and taking this all in. And, the first episode is all about like her, Maul trying to break down that barrier and being like, and the fight is amazing, not only just because of the choreography and the visuals of it, but just like every stroke of his lightsaber is like, I could kill you here, I could kill you here, I could kill you here. Here's my lightsaber
Yeah.
at your neck. Again, I could kill you again. He could have killed her so many times, and like showing her in this twisted way, I just like, hey, I'm on your side. You know, I could kill you, but I'm not. And let's just let you think about that. Just let you think about that. And yeah, it's a twisted way. The visuals are beautiful throughout the whole episode, but I think it's this, you know, he is training her. He's already training her. He's already accepted in his weird way that this is his apprentice now. You know, he's just he's less subtle. He's more subtle than he is with like Ezra. Ezra is just like, he's my apprentice now. I'm gonna start calling him my apprentice. There's nothing you can do about it.
With Ezra, he's like trying to
more
speak it into with Ezra, he's like trying to speak it into existence. He's like, if I just call him apprentice enough times, then he will be my apprentice.
Right, exactly. So yeah, so it's just, you know, I think it's stellar. It's a stellar performance of just like sheer Sith nonsense.
So here's what I found interesting. Like, and we've got a still from the episode up of the fight between the two of them, both with red lightsabers, which is just like a stunning visual.
Yes.
Maul's lesson to Devin is very, very, very similar. In fact, it's actually, I think, the same lesson that Anakin teaches Ahsoka.
Ooh.
In Ahsoka season 1 in the World Between Worlds episodes. The lesson is live or die.
Yeah.
And what Maul says to her throughout that fight is, you're not living. You are essentially just waiting to die. You guys are in hiding. You're not doing anything. You have no purpose. Your life is in ruin. It is done. And the only moment, or when he finally lets her go, is when she actually fights back. When she shows a little bit of spark. When she force pushes him away.
Yeah.
Then he lets her go. She doesn't escape. She doesn't win. He lets her go. And that has, because now he knows he has planted that seed in her, because she's showing him in their twisted way that she wants to live. You know, we saw that, we've seen this alluded to across the first 2 episodes, that she's not happy with the way Daki is living. She's not happy with how that is. She wants more. She wants to do more. She wants to fight back. But doesn't know how. But she also recognizes Maul for what he is. You know, let's not pretend he is anything other than what he is. And he tells her as much, right? You know, when she first sees him when he's doing the weird tea ceremony, you know, he says something, you know, he says, I can tell that you are settled on who you believe I am. Would you like me to be that person? I am capable. Like, he's laying his cards out on the table and saying, this is who I am. I am not hiding who I am from you. But what I can offer you is a different way forward. I can offer you what you are looking for. And that's what the dark side is, right? Like, you know, Yoda says, is the dark side stronger? No, quicker, easier, more seductive. And, you know, maybe Daki thinks he's, you know, is gonna, I'm not quite convinced what Daki thinks is gonna happen. I think Daki thinks he just keeps his head down, everything will go back to normal. Luke, Obi-Wan, Yoda, all these people, they know that the fight against the Empire is going to be slow, it's going to be long, it's going to take a long time. Bail, Saw, Mon, we see it through Andor, we see it through Rebels, Hera, Ezra, Kanan. They know it's a long, long slog. You know, it's a slog. And that's what commitment to the light requires. It requires a commitment for the long term. The dark side gives you quick, easy, more seductive. And what Maul is offering her is the quick, easy, more seductive path. And so he's giving her the same lesson as Luke, or not as Luke, as Anakin gives to Ahsoka. But where he takes that lesson is different from what Anakin takes, from what Anakin leaves it with Ahsoka, because he convinces Ahsoka, you got to be in this for the long haul. You can't sleepwalk through life. You got to be in this for the long haul. You got to commit to this path. Maul is saying you can't sleepwalk through life. So join me, and we're gonna go F up Emperor Palpatine next week. We got this. We're gonna do it together.
Right.
And I think it's a really striking parallel. And again, it just points to the fact that light, dark is two sides of the same coin. You know, everybody is capable of it. And these lessons that we learn, you know, even when it's a good lesson, there's a bad way to take it. And even when it's a bad lesson, there's a good way to take it. So, you know, it's all, the Force is all one thing. You know, the light side and the dark side aren't two separate things. It's all one thing.
And ironically, it's kind of a lesson in patience in a way, of, you know, the reason the Sith were able to do what they did to the galaxy was because they were patient. It's because they just sat in the background and spun their web for thousands of years. And, you know, like hundreds, if not thousands of Sith Lords lived and died and, you know, and were, you know, just in the background waiting for the right opportunity to do what Palpatine ultimately does. And, you know, now it's kind of the Jedi's, you know, prerogative, and their mission now is to stay in the background, stay low, and be patient and wait for that right opportunity to strike. Because, as we know, as people who have seen all the Star Wars movies, we know that it's you know, any defiance right now is futile. It's not going to work out for you. You know, the people that founded the rebellion, you know, in a weird way, understood that too. That, you know, it took a while. So that's kind of Docky's point of view, and, you know, whether, you know, anybody has a real grand plan at this point, you know, is debatable, especially from their point of view. But I think Maul is kind of on the impatient side, is on the, you know, I'm just gonna do this thing because people have screwed me over, and I'm gonna go screw them over, and, you know, that's the way it is. And obviously that's pretty destructive way to look at life too.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week. Like, Maul's thing has always been revenge. You know, at last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge. He wants revenge against Obi-Wan. He wants revenge against Palpatine. He wants, you know, like, that's all he ever wants is revenge. And Palpatine wants revenge too, but Palpatine is willing to wait for it. He's willing to have kind of that delayed pleasure of, you know, I've been waiting a long time for this, my little green friend. He's not necessarily looking, anybody who, you know, cuts him off in traffic, Palpatine's not shooting them with Force lightning. Whereas you get the impression that somebody cuts Maul off in traffic, he's chasing them down with his red lightsaber and slicing their head off. That's just the kind of guy that he is. So with that in mind, you know, that whole idea of the Sith, right, is they have to have two of them. They can't have more, because if there are more, they fight against each other. They go to war with each other. And so Darth Bane comes up with the idea, rule of two, one to have power and the other to crave it, and so that the apprentice will eventually kill the master. And that cycle continues on and on and on and on. Had a point with why I was going to bring up Bane, but I don't remember it right now. So I'm just going to move on. It's going to move on. I think we should stick with the Devin, Docky, Maul angle of all this for right now, and you know, maybe leap a little bit ahead, because you mentioned there was the philosophical debate between Docky and Maul in the second episode, when we have just that incredible lightsaber duel. But before we get to the duel, we have this moment where each of them, the two potential mentor figures for Devin, her current mentor and the man who would like to be her future mentor, they each state for her what they believe, why they believe it, and why they think they are right. What did you think of that scene? What did you think of the way that each of them made their pitch?
Well, yeah, I think, I mean, I already touched on it a little bit, so I'll try to expand on it. But basically, I mean, I love, like, just in general, in real life, I love debating philosophy. So when it like it, but when it zones in on Star Wars philosophy and the philosophy of the Jedi and Sith, and the fact that like Star Wars in its most basic form, and it's how it's presented, a lot of times in the movies, really, it's just like I'm the bad guy. I've got a red lightsaber, and I'm evil, and I'm gonna do bad things. And that's kind of how Darth Vader is in A New Hope. It isn't until The Empire Strikes Back where you start to see the shades, where you find out, oh, by the way, it's Luke's dad, and maybe you'll even a little bit of passion for this monster in a mask. And I think going forward, we've gotten more into it, and just like we go back to the tragedy of Darth Plagueis, the opera scene in Revenge of the Sith, and like that scene, this great example of just like the Sith aren't just evil. Like they have a philosophy, they have a reason for doing what they're doing. They believe that they are right, and any good villain, a well-written villain anyway, also believes that they are right. And I think coming back to the scene, like it is this way of, the whole pitch back and forth between, saying like you're surviving, but you're not living, and Ducky fires back. You and I have different interpretations of what it means to live, and that whole thing of just like the means, the ends justifying the means, and all this stuff. And I really love that back and forth. And again, Devin is sitting there listening to all of it and seeming to be more receptive to Maul's point of view. And we already know that as much as she will literally put her life on the line to save her master, she still philosophically disagrees with him. Like their first conversation is, hey, we should go steal to survive. And Daki being like, no, we should not do that. We should not compromise our ideals, even in the worst of circumstances. And Devin is already, even without Maul's influence, going like, maybe we should compromise. Maybe we should, let go a little bit of what Jedi philosophy. And Daki's just like, no, and you can apply that real quick to real life. People thinking that the circumstances that I'm in means that I should do this thing. I should do something that I wasn't going to do. That this justifies it. And in reality, it's just like, what are you giving up to do this thing, to things? And what are you're basically just like using the circumstances around you to justify you doing a bad thing.
I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them.
Where have we heard that one before?
Yeah. I mean, that's just it, right? Is Maul's pitch to Devin is let's take action. Whereas Daki's pitch to her is let's be patient. And
let's run away. Like the Empire's coming. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. And I mean, being patient in the long run is probably the right thing to do. But it's really, really hard. When something bad happens, our human response is to want to do something about it. And a lot of times, you got to listen to that instinct to want to do something, but you got to ignore whatever the first thought is that comes into your mind. When something bad happens, you immediately probably want to do something bad to somebody else. And that doesn't actually help, right? An eye for an eye does not actually solve anything. You got to think through how you can actually make a difference. And, I agree with Maul that Daki is too passive. I think this, like I said, I keep saying this. This is the guy who just thinks we got to keep our head down, keep our nose clean, and this whole Empire thing will blow over and we can just go back to being Jedi. That's my read on Daki. So like Maul is right in his assessment of it. But that doesn't mean you should become a Sith acolyte. Doesn't mean you should turn to the dark side. That doesn't mean that's the thing to do. The correct response to that is to try and push Daki to take positive, productive action. You know, team up more actively with Brander Lawson. Go out there and look for these early rebel cells that are forming that will eventually become Phoenix Squadron, that will eventually become Luthen's network, that will eventually become, you know, all of these things. That's the actual thing that should be doing. That's sort of productive, positive action. And then you can strike at the Empire in ways that are actually effective, that aren't just lashing out in anger, because that's ultimately what Maul wants to do. Yes, he can be very methodical, but really he's just lashing out with anger at the people that have wronged him. And that's what we see him do, like with the Pikes in these episodes, like some great sequences there. But that's all Maul is really about, you know. That's all he can really get to. So yeah, I think that's kind of like it. Yeah, it leaves you with that bit of you know, there's space there to where neither side is totally right and neither side is totally wrong. One side is definitely more right. Like, let's be clear about that. One side is definitely more right, but there is truth to what Maul is saying, and that's why he's so effective. And that's something the Sith always do, is they tell you the
Imagine,
truth.
Think of it as you will, in perhaps a bit more real world standards, when you have one party which is definitely, obviously so ridiculously evil, and another party which is very flawed but still has good intentions. And then you have someone in the middle going like, I can't tell the difference between these two. I guess I'll go with the super evil one.
Yeah, somewhere Palpatine is posting on his Sith social platform, Master Yoda is weak on crime. I mean, sorry, Master Yoda is weak on crime.
Oh God. Not to get political, guys.
Not to get political. No.
Never.
So, like I want to touch on the lightsaber duel, like, specifically for a second here, because it's, you start with this philosophical debate, and then you have the two characters fight, and Devin is a part of this fight, but really this fight is between Maul and Daki, and it is a visual representation of their ideas clashing, right? Like, this is their philosophies are now literally fighting with laser swords. And from Devin's perspective, because again, all of this is a show to convince her that one side is more right than the other. From her perspective, Maul wins this fight. He injures Daki. She has to save him. So she comes away from that fight thinking Maul's probably more right. He's right. That's what she's meant to see.
Yeah.
But this is something I want to give a lot of credit to the showrunners and the episodic directors and the animators for, because it's kind of subtle, but it's there. Daki injures Maul. He kicks him in the knee and messes up his cybernetic legs, and later on Maul stumbles over himself because of that. I don't know if it's an injury technically. I don't know what the correct terminology for
malfunction
is. Yeah, whatever that is. So really, again, it's a draw. They each hurt the other. They each made their point. Their points as far as the visual language of the show, which is combat. And so if the combat is meant to show whose ideology is more correct, it shows that it's actually both sides have good points. But Devin doesn't see that. We as the audience can come away knowing, oh, actually, no, Daki isn't a total screw up. He isn't totally useless. He did actually strike a blow on Maul. We know that. But that's from our perspective as the audience. Devin has a limited perspective. She can only see what she saw. And what she saw was her master lose. And now she's going to begin the next episode thinking this guy's a passive loser who can't do anything. That other guy, he won the fight, and he says, let's take action. Maybe we should take action. When really, Daki's ideas are just as valid, if not more so.
Am I the only one thinking I know you had some dark thoughts earlier about the Mandalorian and Grogu. So here's my dark thoughts.
Yeah.
Here's my dark prediction. Am I the only one thinking that the end of this, that Devon's journey could be similar to that of Osha Anisea from the Acolyte, in that we're expecting Maul or perhaps an Inquisitor to kill Daki in the end, wherein maybe it ends up being her.
Yeah. I think you might be onto something. Because he's the mentor character. The mentor character almost always doesn't make it out of the story in Star Wars, and that would be a way of turning it on its head. Where it's not Maul killing him, it's not an Inquisitor, it's not some points about how the Empire is stronger or Maul is stronger, but it's actually like, there comes a point when you're going to turn to the dark side where you have to choose to do something. And from that point on, you have to believe there is no way back. And of course, we see that in Revenge of the Sith, right? Anakin comes into the office. Palpatine is force lightning Mace, and Mace is begging for help. For Anakin's help. Palpatine is asking for Anakin's help. Palpatine even says, "You must choose." And Anakin makes that choice. And as soon as he's done it, he knows he's done the wrong thing. He goes, "What have I done?" And drops to his knees. He knows he's done something terrible, but he's so convinced that at that moment there is no going back that, he pledges himself to Palpatine's teaching. And that's it until Luke gets through to him, 20 some odd years later. That's it for Anakin. So a moment where Maul says, kill your master and take your place at my side, not unlike Palpatine saying to Luke, kill your father and take your place by my side. That would be one hell of a climax to build to in this season. And if she chooses to end him and Daki, I mean, all bets are off for season 2 or whatever episode follows that, if we go that way.
Also, I don't know where this came from, but I keep hearing that, I think, because there's been a lot of people talking about this show and Sam Witwer saying a lot of things. And I believe Sam Witwer said that this show takes place over the course of a week. So,
I mean, so far that about adds up.
So I think we're already like a couple of days into it. Like, it feels like first couple episodes were like a day or so, and then this is like, like 1 day. So I think we're kind of like 1 day per week right now, I guess, from our perspective. I'll be curious to see if there's any, like, I'm assuming maybe after this there'll be a time jump a little bit, kind of establishing the Empire coming in. Maybe not. Maybe not. Who knows? I mean, I don't know, but I am curious to see like how, because that's going to be like a significant escalation, and like, I think there's a lot of characters to things. I think Maul makes it out of this. I think Devon makes it out of this. Not sure who else, honestly. I think Lawson could be a goner. Daki's definitely a goner. I don't even know about Lawson's son. I don't even know about Two Boots. Like, there's so many characters that they're on the chopping block here.
I mean, after this week, Two Boots can deprogram himself.
He's only doing what he was programmed to do. It's not his fault.
Yeah. That's what they all say. I mean, let's go to that side of the story and touch on the Brander Lawson part of all of this. We get another look into his personal life when he goes to try and watch his son's lacrosse game. I'm just going to call it lacrosse. I think that's
Space
pretty
lacrosse.
much what it is.
No. Here's what it's called. It's called ball. This is the ball. This is ball. This is space ball. Spaceballs. Oh my gosh.
Spaceballs.
Woo! Made it. Nailed it.
All comes together. Look, we will defend a lot of George's writing in the prequels, but come on, guys, let's go play ball. It might be one of the worst lines in all of Star Wars. But yeah, no. So he goes to see Riley play. Of course, gets called away. He has his back and forth with Two Boots about calling the Empire. He's under a lot of pressure from Chief Kleiss. And of course, Two Boots also drops the bomb that his ex-wife now works for the Empire.
That was a hell of a little mention there. They're like, whoa, spicy.
Yeah. So what did you make of what we saw from Lawson in this episode leading up to his final, not his final, I guess his showdown with Maul in that warehouse where he's trying desperately to take down the Shadow Collective and just so painfully outgunned.
Yeah. Actually, I want to mention something completely that's not associated with your question, but it also is, but is definitely associated with Lawson. Can I just point out and acknowledge and sing the praises of the animators, and particularly Rander Lawson's look is outstanding. He's one of the best looking animated characters, I think, and not just how he looks, but his accessories. Okay, going back to Clone Wars, if you recall, Jedi couldn't even have sleeves. They had to have gauntlets because there was too much to animate the fabric. They couldn't have capes. Like, it was a whole big thing. This character does not have a cape, but he has this sick-ass jacket that he takes on and off. And every scene, he looks a little bit different. Sometimes he's wearing the shoulder holster thing, that kind of thing. Sometimes he's not. You don't see a lot, especially in these animated projects. It seems like in Star Wars, just in general, that every character just wears the same thing all the time. They just pick an outfit and they wear that for forever. But like he has like costume changes, and I just like, as a longtime animation fan, that stood out to me. Just like, that's cool. But you also get, I love the scene. I love his interaction with Daki. That Daki's been stalking him, and then you have this great moment between them where they're like, yeah, and then he's obviously like, I don't know what he thinks, but he definitely doesn't buy that that's his niece. But and then yes, it is a bit cliche, the absent dad that is doing his best, and we know he's doing his best, but he doesn't show up for his kid when he doesn't want to, and the kid builds resentment, and I don't know how this is gonna point out. I honestly, I'm not expecting a happy ending for this.
No,
I'm not saying that everyone here is going to die, but I think
I think you are. I
mean, maybe. But I think, I don't know, man. I think it's definitely like, I think the Maul coming here has doomed them to have to deal with the Empire now. And I think, Rander Lawson is right when he says, when they come, they're not going to leave. The shadow of the Empire is here to stay, and I think it's going to affect all their lives in a really bad way. And it just like, I don't know where this goes from here, but I think it's telling of just like how this is presented, and I think the family dynamic is something, because like, is his ex-wife going to come back in the picture? That'd be interesting.
I gotta think so. I gotta think she's on that Star Destroyer.
Ex-wife.
Yeah. Gotta think she's on that Star Destroyer. Chris made a version of this point last week, but I think it's even more true this week that like Rander Lawson feels like he is a character from a totally different show, like just like a regular cop show who has been dropped in the Star Wars universe and has to figure out how to deal with Maul and Mandalorians and Night Brothers and all of this stuff that's like, mystical and supernatural and all this stuff that is so beyond what any normal cop is equipped to handle. And what we just see in this episode is like how out of his depth he is, right? Like that whole sequence in the warehouse, like it's amazing anybody got out of there alive. And this is the thing again with Two Boots, right? Like this is what we're talking about with Maul and Daki. Like everybody's kind of right.
Yeah.
Right. Like one person is more right, but the person who's wrong, quote unquote, is not totally wrong either. And Two Boots is not wrong in that they are so woefully outmatched when it comes to Maul and his abilities, his army, his mercenaries, their firepower, all of that stuff. it's so outmatched, and you get that sense throughout the episodes, and it's confirmed in that shootout in the warehouse or wherever that is, the docks. I'm not sure where that's meant to be. I forget where it's meant to be. And Two Boots is right that the Empire will bring a hell of a lot more firepower. But it comes with all those unintended consequences that, again, Lawson suspects. We as the audience know from watching Andor and Rebels and everything else what happens when the Empire shows up on a planet. We know how bad it gets, and we know that he's right. But we also know that Two Boots is right, that he's ill-equipped to handle Maul on his own. And that's why, and like I wrote about this in my review, like in a universe like Star Wars where the supernatural is so present, you know, the normal quote unquote people need supernatural support, and that's where the Jedi are meant to come in. That's what the Jedi are meant to do. That's the role they're meant to play in this, and they're now gone. And now Lawson has to either try and deal with it on his own, which he's not equipped to do, or he has to turn to the Empire. But he's lucky that Docky and Devin are there, and so he might actually stand a chance if they can put together a real alliance, and they can, you know, spur Uncle Docky to action.
Yeah, and speaking of like compromising your principles for the greater good, whatever you think that is, like, you know, I'm listening to Maul's pitch on like, look, we both don't want the Empire here. Just let me do my thing. I'll stay out of your hair. You stay out of my hair. We'll call it a truce. And I'm like, that's actually the best option. That's actually might be the best option here. It's just for you to be a dirty cop basically and let these guys do what they want. And it's awful.
Yeah.
But you know, you understand like how this stuff happens, and like, you know, and the contrary is what actually happens, which is like Lawson, to his credit, is not willing. He's not like Devin. He's not someone who's willing to compromise things. I know there's a lot been said about his character. I know there's been a lot coming out about like maybe he was a bounty hunter previously. Obviously, he's got a lot going on with his family.
Yeah, the comics allude to that.
Okay, yeah, okay, that makes sense. So, like, it's alluded that he's had a checkered past, but he really is trying to play straight and also be there for his family. He seems to be doing everything right, but nothing is working out. And he's presented with this impossible choice, and ultimately, you know, it's decided for him. And Two Boots is just doing what he thinks is right. And Two Boots, as you said, not wrong. Two Boots is not wrong. You know, they do need the Empire support, but what is that going to cost in the long run?
Yeah, well, they need support, and the Empire is the only one really offering, and that's what they're.
Or they need the equivalent of the Jedi to fight Maul, if it was, you know, and that is the Inquisitors.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, yeah, that's what happened to all the ex-Jedi that aren't dead, that are still alive. Is they're all Inquisitors now.
Yeah.
Ben, I think it's time.
Is it?
Do you think it's time? I think it's time.
I don't know. Maybe.
I think it's time. I think it's time for everybody's favorite segment. It's time once again for Ben's Connection Corner. Connections in the corner with Ben. It's Ben's Connection Corner. Do.
How's it going, everybody?
Ben's Connection Corner is filmed in front of a live studio audience. All right, Ben, what have you got for us?
Again, you are a lucky man that I took notes. That I make a special note to take notes. Obviously, the lacrosse thing, whatever they're calling it, I did not look up what they're actually calling it. I know there is like trivia in the things. But what blew my mind, and this is actually not something that I think I was aware of, but I'd forgotten about, and someone pointed it out online, was the fact that, and I'm not sure if this is intentional. I'm sure it's intentional. Everything with this show is intentional.
Yeah.
In the background, in Anakin's room in The Phantom Menace, also the first appearance of Darth Maul, there is a lacrosse racket, thing. I don't know. Do I look like someone who's ever watched lacrosse? Okay, I don't know what it is. I don't know what to actually do. I know it's some kind of scoop thing with a ball, and they play it in real life, and they play it in Star Wars. And there's one of those things is hanging above Anakin's workbench in his room. And people have long speculated, what the hell is that? Why is a lacrosse racket from the real world hanging in this space kid's room? I guess now we know Anakin, and this is the connection. This is it. You know, that's the ball that they wanted to go play. When they go play in the backyard, Anakin's backyard.
So according to StarWars.com, the game is called Batoken. Botekin.
Oh, come on.
Batoken.
Oh, come on. That's not. Ball is right there. Ball is right there. You gotta come up with Batoken? What the hell is that? You gotta come up with some make up some word. You have ball. It's right there. They said it in the movie, guys.
Yeah, there it is. Ball is right there. Yeah, StarWars.com says this is a rare glimpse at team sports in Star Wars. Other sports include Huttball, playable in the Star Wars The Old Republic video game, Gravball, originally from the Servants of the Empire series of middle grade novels, and Limmy, which first appeared in the 1994 novel The Crystal Star.
I have never heard those words together in a sentence before.
They're not good at naming sports in Star Wars. Like it's just like none of those have like basketball just sounds so nice.
George teed it up for you and you fumbled it.
And they're
just like Mel Brooks fumbling his own ball by naming Spaceballs 2 The Search for More Money to Spaceballs The New One. Like you had the title right there 40 years ago.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. All right. So
another rant for another thing.
We've talked about the Batoken racket. What else we got?
All right. I just wrote it down. I don't know why I did this. It's really not that much of a connection, but I'm desperate sometimes, and I love the fact that Devin said delightful conversation, which I couldn't help but like in my head go back to boring conversation anyway. Like that's like I feel like might be quoting Han Solo there, which is pretty cool. Okay, this is huge. This is huge. This is crazy. I was actually lying in bed and like, oh my God, what have they done? Because there's a new character that shows up in, I think he shows up on the radio, over the radio in the first episode, and he actually shows up in the flesh in the second episode. It's an African-American character. His name is Wade. Does anybody remember another famous Wade, particularly from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series? Does anyone remember the tragic death of Wade when they're leaving the Fortress Inquisitorius?
Yeah.
And they're screaming over the radio, "No, Wade! Don't do it! Wade, we lost Wade!"
The most tragic moment in all of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the off-screen death of Wade.
So this must be the infamous Wade. He's come back to I don't know what, or maybe this is his granddad or something. I don't know, because there's a few years between those. And everybody in his family is named Wade, obviously.
I mean, there's a few years. There's not enough for him to be his granddad.
You don't know. You don't know how old these characters are.
It's like maximum 10 years between this and Obi-Wan, and he might be his granddad. He looks to be about 30 in this.
Some people get married young.
Human. He's a human character.
I don't know. I still think there's a connection there. There's a connection there. How many characters in Star Wars are named Wade? Come on now.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So there's that big shocking news that's going to break the internet when that gets out. I counted not one but two kind of sort of references to the Star Wars sequel trilogy. And the first one is, maybe I'm stretching here, which I always do, but the fact that Maul turns on his lightsaber while Marg Krim is holding it feels Snoke coded. Feels Kylo Ren Snoke coded. Even though Snoke is actually not actually holding the lightsaber when he does that. He just somebody holding a lightsaber and like turning it on them, a non-force user. It's really cool. Also, shout out to Steven Stanton, who's back as Mark Krim. Really cool.
Yeah.
And also, so this is something that's been floating around. People, I love it when people look into the subtitles and like start studying them. And like I've kind of tradition of just like watching the episodes without subtitles and then watching them with subtitles, so I can get all the dialogue and because sometimes there's stuff hidden there. And one of the things that's hidden in there is that the sounds that you hear, and this is actually in Phantom Menace, which has massive ramifications for the Phantom Menace. Actually, when you hear the Russia Ratama, like that sound, that is attributed to Maul's lightsaber.
Yeah,
that is in the episode. The episode subtitles pretty much confirm that is his lightsaber talking, perhaps calling to Devon. Which I'm thinking, what other times have we heard a lightsaber call to another person? Well, Rey, the Skywalker lightsaber calls to Rey. So I thought that was pretty cool. I'm just like, okay, when other have we heard that voice? And has Maul's lightsaber been talking to us all this time? Kind of crazy the implications of this.
Maul's lightsaber's been in the room with us for the whole time. He's talking to us. It's the next co-host of this show.
Yeah, exactly. And one more thing.
Okay.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say, it was that great behind the scenes featurette from 2 weeks ago where they talk about one of the things in there is Dave Collins, the sound guy for the show, talking about how they incorporated some of Sam Witwer's screams as Maul into the sound effects for his lightsaber. And like now when you listen for it, you can hear it. You can hear it in there, and it's so cool. It's so good.
Yeah, it's crazy. And just the visuals of the lightsabers moving around and how they interact. So it's just beautiful. One more thing. This is a deep cut. It's a deep cut. But some of you may know this, some of you may not. Most of you will not. But Maul's lightsaber actually is confirmed to be able to come apart in this episode. It just turns into two pieces, which is something we don't actually see very much. I think they have it in Jedi Survivor. I think it's a thing you can do. And obviously the Inquisitor lightsabers, we realize in Obi-Wan Kenobi, they split apart. But the first time I ever saw this, does anybody remember Ryan versus Dorkman? Does anybody remember this?
Explain what it is for folks that don't know.
So basically, if you grew up obsessed with Star Wars fan films like I did, especially in the mini dark times after Revenge of the Sith, when there wasn't a lot of Star Wars going on, before the time of the Clone Wars, I got obsessed with fan films, and there is this. Because you have Star Wars fan films, which are like can range from anything from like big budget things that are amazing to like something somebody filmed in the woods behind their house, and like things, and ultimately there is a subgenre of Star Wars fan films that is just a lightsaber duel. It's just two people in a desert, in a forest, in a room, just fighting with lightsabers. There's no story, no dialogue, nothing. And the pinnacle of this subgenre was a series. It turned out to be a series. Ryan versus Dorkman. Go look it up. If you haven't seen it, go look it up, because it is genuinely one of the best lightsaber duels ever made, in my opinion. And even so, they made a Ryan versus Dorkman 2, which was like really high budget. I remember following the production of that thing like a hawk for so many months and years, because there was a huge hype around that thing. But basically, but I'm not even talking about Ryan versus Dorkman. I'm talking about a spin-off of Ryan versus Dorkman called Ryan versus Brandon, which also was a sequel of. And in both of those spin-off lightsaber duel fan films, Ryan Weber has a double-bladed blue lightsaber that splits in half into two things. And there's a twist in the whole thing. It's complicated. It's a lot. It's very deep, okay? This is stuff that's in my head that nobody else knows. But that was the first time I ever saw the concept of a lightsaber that could split in half and become two lightsabers. So that brought me back to my childhood. It brought me back. Yeah. So that's a really crazy tangent. I appreciate you humoring me there.
That's amazing. See, like most people, if they're doing a segment like this, they're going to StarWars.com and seeing that like Darth Maul serves the same tea that Pre Vizsla serves him in the Clone Wars. And Ben is like, let me tell you about the Ryan versus Dorkman spinoff. May or may not have inspired the splitting of the lightsaber in Star Wars. What a like that is why there is truly no other segment quite like Ben's Connection Corner. Connections in the corner with Ben. It's Ben's Connection Corner. Do.
How's it going, everybody?
Ben's Connection Corner is filmed in front of a live studio audience. Oh, Ben, that was amazing. That was fantastic. Anything else we want to bring up before we do final thoughts, scores out of 10 for this?
I'm sure I'll think of like 10 things. I only take notes for Ben's Connection Corner. Everything else is just off the dome. I really should take notes, more extensive notes. But no, I guess not. Other than like these episodes were cool, man.
Yeah, they were great. They really were. All right, let's do final thoughts, score out of 10 for chapters 3 and 4, Whispers in the Unknown and Pride and Vengeance. Ben, take it away.
I'm gonna give this episode, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna give the first episode a 9.5 and the second episode a 10 out of 10, because I don't think there's any room for improvement, especially on that second episode. Really just stellar voice acting, stellar animation. Everything was firing on all cylinders, and can't wait for next week. Really, truly, I can't wait to see where this goes. It's really just, amazing. Like I said, like it could have been the end of a Star Wars movie. Like that's the things. Like it felt like all the stakes are there, and except it's not. We're not even done with the series. It's gonna keep going after this, and I'm just like, how do you top that?
Yeah.
I know there's gonna be more lightsaber duels. How do you possibly up the ante from where we came from? So very excited to see where it goes from here. But yeah, these episodes were phenomenal.
Yeah, they really were. I'm gonna go with a pair of 9.5s just to leave like this is the smidge of the door open for something better. But I reserve the right to come back and change that to a 10 out of 10 later if I feel like it, because that was pretty spectacular. Like the visual storytelling that we talked about, the lighting, the choreography, the animation, the voice acting, the cinematography, the sound design, the music, all of it came together for I mean the standout sequences are the Maul stalking Devon and their duel in chapter 3, and then the just the final action sequence in chapter 4 culminating with the lightsaber duel. But all throughout the episodes, really interesting stuff, the way the story evolves with Brander and Riley and Two Boots and everything that's going on there. Ludi Vario didn't get much love from us this week, but he continues to be a fun character whenever he's on screen. And the ongoing machinations within the Shadow Collective are intriguing. I'm looking forward to seeing where that ultimately ends up, and I'm looking forward to seeing where all of this goes. So yeah, I'll go with a pair of 9.5s. Before we go, let's do some super chats from our buddy Joel Davis. First question from Joel says, do you think fans are ready for the tonal whiplash going from the seriousness of Andor and Maul to Mando's silly, lighthearted tone? Now, we talked earlier about how this movie is definitely going to kill off Din Djarin.
Yeah.
So maybe it won't be quite as silly and lighthearted as we think.
I mean, who knows? Favreau could have a card up his sleeve that we did not anticipate. Maybe halfway through the movie, Din Djarin is on Nal Hutta, and then just like right around the corner, Stellan Skarsgård as Luthen Rael. He's back from the dead. He's like, don't you want to fight these bastards for real?
Yeah, he gave it all. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how people are going to respond going from the lighthearted, we're joking about killing off Din potentially. But like, Andor, very, very serious. Maul, very serious. I think some lighthearted silliness might be welcome, to have just some action sequences that are just fun. And, I hope that Favreau and the stunt team and everybody working on this movie have put together some really exciting and cool action sequences. And I think if you do that, you make it like a visual feast for people just to marvel at, a real spectacle. Then I don't think you're gonna have too much to worry about with people experiencing whiplash going from the serious shows to the not even necessarily less serious movie, but just maybe a lighter tone.
Yeah, I'm actually going to push back on the idea that this is going to be all lighthearted and fun. Like, I think it will be, but I also think it's gonna, as we were saying earlier, gonna bring the emotion. I think Mandalorian at times was goofy, funny, but I think Mandalorian also, I think most of the time, found that balance of like, Mandalorian takes itself seriously when it needs to take seriously. Most of Star Wars is goofy. The Empire Strikes Back is silly. It's
so funny.
Such a silly,
it's so dark,
borderline, like you could almost categorize it. I think it may be one of the funniest movies ever made. Like it's so funny and so humorous, and there's so much comedy and silliness that's packed in this movie. But it's also remembered for being the dark and gritty one, and cut off Luke's hand, and I am your father, all this kind of stuff. They remember that, but they don't remember, mine, like R2 and Yoda having a stick battle. So I think that you have to put things into perspective and be like, Star Wars can do both, and it's just like Andor was just like, let's not do as much, even though Andor occasionally was kind of silly and funny at times too. It could be easy money. So,
yeah. I mean, the asteroid sequence is very intense. It's a crazy scene, but it is very funny. There are so many just like funny moments within it of Han and Leia yelling at each other with 3PO in the background and Chewie just wailing away. It's such a funny sequence. And if we get a whole movie that's like that has the intensity of the asteroid sequence, but like the jokes and the lighthearted moments to go with it, I think we're in for a real treat. So yeah, it's good stuff. Joel also asks, if not Din dying, do you think Favreau is done? So if Din Djarin actually dies, which again, we're just speculating wildly away with that. Do you think Favreau is done? I think Favreau is probably done just in general. Like I think he's kind of already moving on to other projects, doing that Oswald the Rabbit thing for Disney. Like I think he's moving on, and I think Filoni is going to kind of be the one to carry the torch for this going into the future with Ahsoka 2, and eventually whatever the climactic event of this whole era is, whether it's a movie or a limited series. I think that's going to be, well, if they stick with the plan from 2023, which they haven't stuck with the plan from 2023 for anything else, but if they stick with the plan from 2023, it's a Dave Filoni directed movie. And it's probably a Dave Filoni written movie as well. So that's kind of where I think maybe they get him back for a Mando 2, but like a second movie. But I think probably this is Jon Favreau's final major installment in his Star Wars career beyond just some producing and consulting on Ahsoka 2 and Dave's movie.
Yeah, I am curious to see like how this moves forward, because I think there are other filmmakers in their orbit that have obviously played a role in this. Like I think the name that comes to mind is Robert Rodriguez. I can say his name. And some who like came in and did the Boba Fett episode, then like took off and like was really heavily involved in creating the Book of Boba Fett, and was like, I don't know if that had gone the way they maybe wanted a little bit more. Maybe he would have been more involved in that, or maybe he would have come back to Mandalorian. And then, Peyton Reed has directed 2 episodes. He directed the Rescue, one of the biggest episodes. Bryce Dallas Howard also huge in the space.
Rick Famuyiwa was executive producer on season 3 with Favreau and Filoni,
and directed several episodes.
Yeah, and who knows if we had gotten season 4, he probably would have continued on in that role, but we haven't heard about him being involved in the movie at all.
So I'm thinking less like oh, they're gonna hire someone outside of this to like do a movie. They're going to hire up, like say Starfighter does really well, like they would get like one of those guys to do it. I
Sean
think
Levy,
I
yeah.
think it's more Sean Levy. I think it's more likely that like I mean, how great would that be to see The Mandalorian and Grogu Quantum Mania directed by Bryce Dallas Howard? Like, come on, let's do that.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be fun. So that's an interesting thing to think about. But I suspect we're probably. I love to be wrong, but it could very well be proven wrong. But that's my instinct is that we're
I mean,
probably looking
look,
at the end
I
of
would love
Favreau's
to be
time.
wrong. I never have been, but I would love to be.
And finally from Joel, why do you think Lucasfilm sees The Crawl as only the saga films 1 to 9 and One Day 10 to 12 as a thing that only the saga films can use and not something for non-saga stories like Solo and Rogue One? I have a rant on this that I've gone on many times. So Ben, I will let you talk first on this.
I mean, I think it's just as simple as just like, definitely Favreau being kind of he's newer school, but also he's still older school in regards to filmmakers. He's, kind of a student of Lucas in a weird way. I think he sees that as like, oh, that's George's thing. That's, something. I think Filoni would also see that as something like that. If I'm trying to get into their psyche and read their mind and feel like, okay, how would they feel about this? Like, that's kind of my read on the situation, that they're like, well, it's spin-off films and they can't be like this. This will confuse people. And I'm just like, whatever. Like, I think actually, I think Mandalorian and Grogu is if it actually is something completely different, which from based on what I'm hearing, is the most justified to do something different, because it's not Solo, it's not Rogue One, it is something that is already pre-established. Mandalorian already has a pre-established theme and editing style and all this kind of stuff, and intro and outro, all this kind of stuff that is already there, that's already set in place. And I think obviously they can just change that, but it feels weird to just kind of rip it from the movies and put it on the Mandalorian when it's like, it would be kind of jarring to like just kind of like smash cut those two tones, because it is different. Mandalorian does match the tone of the movies pretty well, but it is different in the music, in the editing, all this kind of stuff, in the tone. So I think if there's any movie, any spin-off movie that's like, maybe we should do something different, I could see them doing that. But also I'm just like, just do a freaking crawl, man. Just do a crawl.
Yeah. Yeah, like I agree with you that like Mando is the one thing that could really get away with it if they want to do that way, if that's the direction they've decided to go. Who knows? Like, they could even change things. Like what you read online now could change theoretically between now and May 22nd. Highly unlikely, but it's possible they could change. I think one of the stupidest things that Lucasfilm has ever done is say we're not going to do crawls for some Star Wars movies. That is such overthinking it nonsense. I want them to do new and interesting things with Star Wars movies. I don't want them just to play the hits over and over again. I want them to do all that stuff. But there are certain things that I think audiences come to expect from Star Wars movies. There are certain things that just on the surface level declare this is a Star Wars movie. And The Crawl is one of those things. And you can play around with it. You can try different things with different ways of doing it. You could do for Rogue One, you could do that cold open on with Galen and Krennic, and then do The Crawl. Like there's ways like you can mess around with it. But that's something that's such a huge part of the Star Wars experience, to take it away for no good reason. I'd never understood why they would do that. It's ridiculous. You're all you are doing. I don't want Star Wars to feel like any other movie. All you're doing when you take The Crawl away is making it feel like any other movie. And these half-ass crawls that they did with Solo or Ahsoka, I'm like, just do the real thing. Just do the real thing. If you're going to start with text on the screen, do the real thing and just have that be part of the experience. And I think that was a big mistake that they made with Rogue One. It's about one of the few mistakes they made with Rogue One. And it was clearly like it was part of this whole thing of, we're going to differentiate the standalone movies from the saga films. And I understand you're trying to think of ways to do that. But I just think you have this thing that is such a wonderful part of the Star Wars experience. Why get rid of it? And it's not like you're gonna make it less special, because it's still like it only happens once in the movie. The Bond movies all have the moment of him shooting the gun, and that's just part of the experience. That's part of the thing.
Yeah.
That's one that you look forward to in a Bond movie, is getting the barrel sequence. And it's just a silly little part of it. Doesn't dictate whether the movie is good or not. But I think you have that. You have the best version of that with Star Wars, and you actively chose not to do it. And the Star Wars theme is so iconic and so beloved. It's one of the most iconic pieces of music from the last 100 years. And they don't use it. This drives me insane that they don't use it. And this is the thing with the helmets, right? Is the music that plays over them is not Star Wars music. It's generic music. It looks like the thing you look up that says royalty-free Star Wars like music on YouTube. Right? Like that's what it sounds like. And obviously you can't just do blah, da, 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 over the helmets, but you could do something that uses the Star Wars theme to do that. You could do something like that with Rogue One, with Solo. Like, use these things that are iconic that people love. Why are we holding them back? You're not going to make them less special by not using them. All it does is it makes Star Wars feel like any other franchise or any other movie. So use the things that make you special. It's never made sense to me. And I hope that Sean Levy and all the people making Star Wars movies after him choose to do crawls again. And I think the shows should start with a crawl, like the episode 1. Like, not every episode, but I think episode 1, especially again with Ahsoka, if you're gonna do the fake crawl, just do the real thing. Why are you holding back?
It's funny, a thought just occurred to me how, like, if you out of context, you look at the crawl that you get in Ahsoka or the text you get at the beginning of Solo, that is the type of thing that a non-Star Wars film would do to do something like the crawl, but they would do it they're doing it in a way, they're like, we don't want to copy Star Wars.
Yeah.
We want to do our own thing. We can't do that. Disney would sue us.
Yeah.
But then you take a step forward, you're like, no, you are Star Wars. You can do the crawl. Nothing is stopping you. Why are you doing this?
Yeah,
and
it's the real deal.
Like, it's just it's a weird choice. It's a weird choice. Like, I understand, like, trying to differentiate yourself, and that's why, like, people will get mad at a book adaptation of a movie adaptation of a book or whatever else, and they're like, why didn't they make it exactly like this? And because all these people are artists and they want to come in, they want to put their own stamp on it, they want to do it a little bit differently, because they don't want to just make the thing that somebody else make. They want to do their own spin on it. And I think you could apply it to this and be like, well, if everyone wants to do something different, he wants to do something unique, he doesn't want to do the same thing over again. These are artists. They want to do something, so that you've never seen before. But sometimes, as you're saying, you're just overthinking it. You cannot things. And I get it. I'm an overthinker. I'm the biggest overthinker. But, sometimes you just have to let it go.
And like, look, if you want, like, if you're like, okay, I don't want to just do what's done before, then don't do a Star Wars movie. Do an original, do an original, and do an original, and I will go and see it. I'm not telling people to get out. I'm not trying to gatekeep or anything, but it's like, you're making a Star Wars movie. There's certain things that you should do to make it the Star Wars movie, and everything that follows the crawl should be like a crazy original idea that builds off of what's come before, but is its own thing. Just have the crawl, for goodness sake. Just have the crawl. It's part of the experience. There you go. That's my answer.
Yeah.
And it literally has not changed in 10 years. I've said variations of that, I'm pretty sure, every year for the last decade. Go back and check the tape.
Nothing but consistent.
Yeah. It's like they say, everything changes, but nothing changes. So there we are. But I think with that, Ben, we will begin to wrap things up for this week. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We will be back in 7 days' time to talk about Maul Shadow Lord episodes 5 and 6. We're going to see what comes next in the ongoing adventures of Maul, Brander Lawson, Devin Asara, Master Iko Diodaki, Two Boots. All of them, we're looking forward to finding out what comes next. Also next week, we'll have an interview with Graham E. Hancock of Blocks Magazine talking Lego Star Wars. It was meant to be featured this week, but there was the Mandalorian trailer. And so I had to send Graham a message and say, I'm very sorry, but we're pushing you to next week. And to his credit, he said, totally understand. So look forward to that. We'll have a great in-depth Lego discussion then. And we'll talk about whatever else happens. I mean, there was some celebration news. We touched on it a little bit off the top. We didn't really get into it. Maybe we can get into it next week. So lots of things to look forward to in 7 days' time when we're back doing this again. Ben, thank you as always for being on and hosting. You want to plug anything?
No, actually, I don't have anything to plug right now. Literally, I would plug my Blue Sky because I occasionally post over there, but Blue Sky hasn't worked all day. It's been a cluster bleep. So yeah, don't follow me anywhere, please. I do actually will plug. We're doing on the Discord. We're on Friday nights. We're doing a little combo movie night and game night. And by movie night, I mean we're just watching the newest episodes of Maul Shadow Lord. So we'll be screening those in the things. If for some reason you don't have Disney Plus, you can come join us and watch them with us, episodes 3 and 4, and then we'll do a little game night afterwards. We'll play some things, and then we're anticipating a Star Wars Fortnite update soon, so hopefully that'll be a lot of fun. And this was great, and I'm gonna go watch Ryan vs. Darkman 2 now.
There you go. Go watch Ryan vs. Darkman 2. As for me, as always, I'll remind you can check out my Substack, Hot Off the Press, aka DominicGJones.substack.com. G like Greedo, posting reviews of Maul Shadow Lord as the episodes come out, and also doing Star Wars Weekly, which is sort of a weekly rundown of Star Wars news and some analysis. And last week featured a highly in-depth and very researched trip through the history of food in the Star Wars galaxy, inspired, of course, by the veal parmesan, or no, it was the chicken parmesan in the Maul Shadow Lord. So find that over at Hot Off the Press, again, aka DominicGJones.substack.com. As always, make sure you subscribe to never miss an episode. Leave a review if the platform you're listening to us on lets you leave a review. Join the Discord to keep the conversation going between shows, and check out the other programming on the Star Wars Underworld Network, including the Raeside, Ion Cannon, Tales from Beyond the Galaxy, the Tractor Beam, and that's it. That is all there is. There is nothing more. And of course, follow us on social media at the SWU. Pretty much everywhere. You may need to add a .bksy, BSKY, BYKS.
Yeah, something like that.
SKBY. Something like that. You may need to add that if that's where
just
you're following
go to
us.
Google. Just go to Google and go Blue Sky Star Wars Underworld. It will pop right up. I promise you.
There you go. There you go. And so do check that out. And as you said, we'll be back next week. So we hope you'll join us then. So for Ben and Chris, who's not here, and Hannah, who's not here, my name is Dominic, and may the Force be with you. It's a wrap.